Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. I'm really excited as always to be joined by Aaron the Cricket Connoisseur. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, Azam. I'm going to be honest. Over the weekend, for those who don't follow county cricket, my county of Warwickshire did emerge victorious against the defending champions at Essex by 7 wickets down at Fortress Edgbaston. So absolutely elated, ecstatic over that. In the IPL, not so much. RCB did get absolutely annihilated by CSK, but it's part and parcel of the IPL. It's part of the tournament. You can't win every single game. So yeah, I suppose there's that. And then finally, Pakistan versus Zimbabwe. So quite a busy weekend, has to be said. But overall, Faizan, yeah, pretty happy, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a pretty busy weekend. And as you said, Warwickshire won. Unfortunately, my team, Surrey, once again, not coming out in a very good light, getting completely destroyed, really, on the weekend. So that wasn't fantastic. But, you know, what can you do? At least I got to get out on the side and play some cricket. So I can't complain. I've got a little bit of a tan now as well. So I guess all good, all good. Right, yeah, let's get into it then. And actually, before we do, guys, please do remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I always forget to do it, so I thought I'd chuck it in there. So thank you very much. Yeah, so we're going to be discussing the Zimbabwe versus Pakistan T20 series, 3-match series. Pakistan coming out on top 2-1 in the end. And, well, we didn't see the high-scoring matches I guess we've been accustomed to seeing in a lot of T20 matches in the last, few years. What was your initial reaction or take to the series as a whole?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? So I'm going to be honest, Faizan. Heading into this series, I did think we'd at least see some scores of 170, 180. We didn't really see that at all. In particular, the second T20I was so low scoring. And actually, I just wanted to ask you a question, actually, mate, and of course, for all of the viewers out there. Why do you think that they were perceivably low scoring? Was it due to the pitch conditions? Was it the way in which the batsmen actually applied themselves? We saw some brilliant bowling in that second T20I in particular from the likes of Luke Jongwe. We saw some excellent bowling from Hassan Ali in the third T20I. But what do you think the overarching factor was behind those perceived low scores?
I think, to be honest with you, from what I could tell as a batsman as well, from watching the way that they were playing, I think a really good example is Babar Azam. He didn't really find his timing, I would say, throughout the whole series. He's someone who doesn't really bludgeon the ball. So, someone like, a Chris Gale, for example, he'll be able to bludgeon the ball around on slow surfaces that's stopping. The surfaces in Zimbabwe, historically, I remember we went there last year as well. And from what I know, anyway, my knowledge base is not fantastic for Zimbabwe. But the pitches in Zimbabwe are definitely not as batsman friendly as the ones in South Africa. When South Africa, we went there and the pitches were 200 plus was the average. Here, I think you're scoring 140 plus and you're really in the game. And I think it was a case of the pitches prepared, definitely looked a bit greener. They were spongier. I think the second one, it almost looked like it rained and they hadn't covered it. And it looked like the type of pitch you'd get on like a Sunday cricket, kind of Sunday league pitch that you go in a recreation ground and you go and play there, and it was like sodden. So, but again, it's the same for both teams. So I just think it was a challenge though to bat on, especially to get in as well. I think it was stopping. It wasn't coming on nicely from what I could tell anyway, and that definitely I think was shown in the scores that Pakistan and Zimbabwe got really throughout the whole series. So I genuinely think the biggest reason is probably the pitches. There was maybe a little bit of bad application, but for Pakistan, who are not used to batting on these tracks and from coming from South Africa, really, where the tracks were actually quite nice to bat on 2020 series, to here, they would have been thinking, oh, it might be quite similar, but it was completely different. Zimbabwe, I think some of the batsmen are probably more used to it or will be more used to it. So I think we saw on the third one, Madhevere especially, he batted really well. And he's similar to Babar Azam, but you could probably tell the maybe level of experience playing in Zimbabwe shone through there for Madhevere especially. So yeah, for me, I think it's the bat. I think it was the pitches, even, that played the biggest role. The spongy, just stopping, wasn't coming on nicely. For the spinners, they got a little bit of purchase. And I think for bowlers, we saw especially someone like Jongwe use a lot of change-ups, cutters, etc., slower balls. They were really effective on these tracks. So yeah, I would say, I guess to put it short and sweet, that yeah, the pitches I think was the overall factor for me on that, which kind of leads me nicely onto the bowling display. And actually, before we go on to Pakistan, I actually want to touch upon Zimbabwe first, because I thought they were quite impressive at times. And a good place to start, I think, is Luke Jongwe, who's been an exile from the international team for I think it's 6 years, made his international return, and not just good with the ball, but a couple of little nice knocks. Likes the paddle shot. I think he paddled Hasnain and also Haris Rawal for 6 in consecutive matches, so that's not bad going. But 9 wickets and the top wicket taker as well, so by quite some distance as well. Mohammad Hasnain with 5 was after him. So, what was your thoughts on him coming back into the fold?
Well, in one word, I'd say exceptional. That's all that I can really describe it as. As you mentioned, he's been out of the team since I think 2016. So it's been a while since he's been in a chevron shirt playing on the biggest stage of them all, which is international cricket. And to come back straight back into the team, he's had a fantastic T20 tournament, by the way, in Zimbabwe itself for the Madhevere Tuskers. He was brilliant for the Tuskers with the ball and the bat in hand, actually, throughout their domestic tournament. But to transfer that excellent form straight away against Pakistan, and let's face it, yes, they do have their problems with the middle order. I guess we'll probably touch upon that again as today's show does progress. But they are an excellent team with world-class players, Rizwan, Azam, Zaman, just to name a few. And I think he really, really held his own. And I just like the way in which Zimbabwe had Jongwe. Then you had a guy like Blessing Mazarabani. We all know what he's capable of. Again, a fantastic seamer. Richard Engarava as well. I know it's a bit expensive, but at times impressive. Okay, I still think he has got a future in a chevron shirt, still only 23 years of age, maybe still trying to find his way in international cricket. But in terms of Jongwe in particular, I'd say he was probably, okay, apart from Mohammad Rizwan, who, as we'll probably touch upon, had a fantastic series in comparison to the rest of the batsmen. But as a bowler myself, I have to admit, Luke Jongwe, if I was choosing the player of the series, I'd go with him. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. And as you mentioned, those change of pace. He really, adapted his game and his bowling style to the surface. He made it really, really difficult. And that second T20 in particular will probably go down in the memories of Zimbabwe fans for years to come. It was their first win on home soil in a T20 match since 2016 against India. So again, massive, and Luke Jongwe deserves an immense amount of plaudits. Absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely adapted well to the conditions and used all the help that was on offer on the tracks for sure. And he was really impressive for sure. Really good return as well. I mean, it couldn't have gone any better for him. And I really loved his celebration with the picking up the shoe. And I don't know what it was. Maybe he's pretending to call someone his shoe, but that was quite funny. And to be honest, we saw a lot of that 9 times to be exact. So it definitely the Pakistan players probably got really annoyed by it by the end of it. But he was really good. And as you said, a couple of other good honourable mentions as well, for sure. Muzrabani, we know what he's about, gets that extra bit of bounce. And Engarava was pretty good, left arm, different angle. And yes, he was expensive at times, but, I thought he was okay. Yes, look, you're going to be expensive, though, in T20s in some matches, but he's young, as you said. So I think they'll stick with him, and he gives you the different angle with the left arm, which look can't be underestimated, especially on the T20 level. It can be very, very useful. Apart from that, for Zimbabwe, I think for me, Madhevere, who I know a lot about him because I covered the last series that Pakistan played against Zimbabwe, and I thought he was quite impressive there. Had talent, didn't set the world alight, but I could tell he was quite talented. And then also I talked to Hamid Qadri from Kent, and he said that when he played in the Under-19 World Cup for England, Madhevere was the best player he played against. And he played obviously against Australia, Sri Lanka, West Indies in the Under-19 World Cup. And I pressed him, and he said actually it was someone from Zimbabwe. He said Madhevere was really good. He batted really well. I think he scored 50 plus against England, and he bowled. And he just said he had this maturity, and the way that he set about his innings was really impressive. And I think that definitely came through, especially in a third T20 where he was really impressive. And I just thought this might be a coming of age. He did open the first T20, second one, they dropped him down because Brendan Taylor came back in. They put him back at the top. And I thought he was really good. And look, no sixes in that innings, but it was almost, dare I say it, Babar Azam-esque in it to a degree, in a sense that he just picked the gaps with precision, and just looked free flowing, and there weren't any slogs in there, to be honest with you. It was all really proper shots, and he's the type of player that you can see playing all three formats, and I'm sure he'll play the test matches as well. And I'm looking forward to that. But 59 or 47 in that third T20, and he was the main reason why it looked like Zimbabwe might go on to win that, which eventually they did lose. What's your thoughts on him as a player going forward as well? And I think he probably doesn't get the plaudits he deserves as a young player because he plays for Zimbabwe. But I reckon if you play for one of the more so-called top teams, there would be a lot of fanfare around him.
Absolutely. And you know what, Faizan? I think you really hit the nail on the head when you mentioned that M word, which is maturity. He has got such an experienced, calm, composed, almost ice cool head on his shoulders. And I really, really like Wesley Madhevere. Simple as that. Ever since watching him in that 2020 Under 19 World Cup in South Africa, you mentioned that brilliant knock against England. That wasn't his only outstanding knock in that tournament. He looks so, so impressive. And again, we talk about Jongwe, for example. Jongwe is obviously a bit more experienced, of course, but Madhevere has just been so impressive in international cricket. He really has. I understand he's had some low scores as well. But again, this is a young batsman who is finding his way on the biggest stage of them all for his national team. So for me, I am a big, big fan of his game. I think he is an outstanding young cricketer. I really do. I'd go as far as say he's one of the most exciting prospects in the entire world right now. And as you said, the only thing that is really holding back that fanfare, that global attention per se, is maybe that he plays for Zimbabwe. But the way in which he plays his cricket is so, so appealing as a cricket fan. He plays proper cricket shots. He rotates the strike. He's very intelligent with his shot selection. He's not going out there and trying to slog every ball. He's a very aesthetically pleasing batsman. And for me, I really, really like the look of him. So for me, Wesley Madhevere, if you are going to keep a close eye on some Zimbabwean talents, keep a close eye on him and also someone for the future as well. Didn't get to see him in the series because he's currently at Nottinghamshire. But Dane Shaddendorf, he's another one. A very, very impressive young wicketkeeper batsman. So some excellent young talent there in Zimbabwe. Also, just wanted to mention Maramani as well. Thought he was quite impressive at times. Again, looks very, very assured in his game. Came off the back of a fantastic T20 tournament in Zimbabwe itself. So yeah, with Madhevere and co, pretty bright future ahead of the Chevrons. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Things are looking
Yeah,
good.
yeah, 100%. And he can also bowl a bit of off spin as well, so which I'm sure you'd love. And yeah, he's
a
pretty
lot better than me.
yeah, he's pretty handy. So not bad at all. And yeah, Maramani, I was going to mention him. Yeah, he looked very good, lefty as well. And I think 35 of 26, and that partnership with Madhevere, basically in that third T20, is what nearly gave Zimbabwe a chance. They put on 60 plus for the second wicket partnership. So that was really impressive, I think, from two youngsters putting on that type of display of batting. And actually, to be honest with you, even though Rizwan and Babar Azam scored runs, I know Rizwan scored 91, but to be honest, I'd go as far as to say those two looked the most comfortable on that surface in terms of the way that they played. And that's why I say stats and scores don't always show the whole picture. I think they definitely will be disappointed to get out the way they did because they did look very comfortable on that track. I guess to finish up on Zimbabwe, then where do they go from here? They obviously just beat Pakistan in the second T20. They are going forward, I guess, into the T20 World Cup. I know they have to. They're part of the qualifying groups. What do you see as their chances as a T20 outfit? Because I feel like that's one of their weakest formats. If I'm being honest with you, I know they beat us in the second T20. I don't want to say it was a blip, but what I would say is that the pitches as well in India are very, very different to the pitches here in Zimbabwe. They're not going to get the type of assistance, especially the seamers as they would in India, and the spinners they've got. I'm not too confident that they're going to do particularly well. What's your thoughts?
Well, it is an interesting one. And for those who don't know, I'm a bit of a Zimbabwean cricket advocate. I do like Zimbabwean cricket. But you know what, Faizan, I agree. T20I cricket is probably their weakest format. And it's because they simply don't play enough of it. I mean, I've mentioned this on previous shows with the Pakistan series beforehand, with the Afghanistan series as well in the UAE. If you have a look at the experience of these guys, mentioning all these young cricketers coming through, if you compare the number of caps that all these Zimbabwean players have in that starting 11 to a Pakistan, to an India, to an England, an Australia, New Zealand, pretty much any of the four members, who are going to be competing at that T20 World Cup, there's massive, massive differences in terms of experience. So for me personally, I don't think they've got a massive chance at the T20 World Cup. But with that being said, don't discount them getting through their group. I don't see them as contenders at all. But in terms of their group, with good young talent, such as the likes of Mazarabani, Madhevere, for example, Marimani, all these good youngsters coming in and supplementing an experienced core with the likes of Irvine, Taylor, for example, Williams, if he comes back in, Ryan Burl, who's an absolutely cracking all-rounder down the order. I do think that they should definitely get out of the group. But again, I just don't think until that they have more experience in terms of T20I series and of course their T20 circuit as well. I mean, I've mentioned there about their T20 tournament that they've just had, but I feel like that does need to be expanded upon. I'm going to be honest, if they're going to really compete with the quote unquote big boys. So although I don't see them as a necessary contender, I'm going to be honest, I don't see them finishing very highly if they do get through the group. I still wish them the best. It's as simple as that. Watch out for them, look at the young talent, and fingers crossed they can do Zimbabwe proud. Because I really, really do hope that they do.
Yeah, no, I hope so as well. They seem like a very bubbly outfit and very good in the field. To
Yeah.
mention actually to finish up, by the way, I didn't mention that, but very very good in the field. I thought they were very sharp. Yeah, I think the first T20 they were disappointed. They dropped a couple of catches, which definitely did come back to bite them in the butt because Pakistan went on to win it and not very convincingly whatsoever. But the rest of the series are really good, especially the ground fielding was exceptional. So I was really impressed by that. On the Pakistan front, then, I mean, it's really the usual suspects. Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam getting some runs, but Mohammad Rizwan, I think, especially was very impressed. I mean, he got nearly double the amount of runs as a second run scorer in Babar Azam. Got 186 runs at an average of 186 because he got, not out. So good for him. Only one out from that second T20, but 91 not out in the last one as well. That was quite impressive on not a fantastic track again to bat on, but that was pretty assured. And I think the common theme in both Pakistan wins was Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam putting on a partnership and both getting runs. Yes, they didn't maybe score as quickly as expected, but that seems to be, I mean, a common theme now for Pakistan in T20s. Those two, if they form a partnership, we've got a very good chance. What do you think?
In terms of that as an approach, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And I go back, it's a very cliche phrase, I suppose, but you live and die by the sword. And that is very much Pakistan's sword. So in a way, as you said, if those two get off to a fantastic start, they lay that foundation, they lay that platform, you've got a great, great chance of winning. We've seen that in the South Africa series, the Zimbabwe series that's just been as well. When these two get runs, it just galvanizes that entire batting unit and it puts Pakistan in with a fantastic chance of winning games. Like the fact if Pakistan put up 180, 190, 200 plus, you have got the bowling strength in the seam department in particular, supplemented by the likes of Usman Khadir, for example, to defend those totals. But again, it's a very, very dangerous game because at the same time, and this is something that we've seen on multiple occasions, if those two don't lay that foundation, if one of them goes early or if both go early, for example, I don't really see at the moment, and we've said this for so many series, Faizan, we really have, it's becoming like a repeatable offence now for Pakistan, is the fact that the middle order is simply not supplementing that top order. It is a huge, huge Achilles heel. And it is one thing that for me, as much as I like that Pakistan team, it's the thing that prevents me from going, they're going to have a really, really strong T20 World Cup. Because for the time being, until they address that issue, they're going to be an incredibly enigmatic team. So at times they're going to be world beaters when Fakhar, Babar, Rizwan, that top three really get them off to a good start. They're going to look absolutely impeccable. But at the same time, if those three, for example, were to be dismissed and sent back to the pavilion within the first 6-7 overs, they're going to be in huge, huge trouble. So again, I don't want to be overly critical, but maybe this series yet again has papered over the cracks slightly. Because yes, from an outsider's perspective, you've won 2-1, you've won the series, Rizwan brilliant, Azam brilliant, but again, it's those two providing the massive, massive bulk of the runs. The middle order problem has to be resolved, and it still hasn't, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think, to be fair, I don't think it will be papered over because we lost that second T20 and we got barred up for 99. So I think that should be a big enough wake up call. And I think that's what really sprung the Pakistan selectors into action. And that's why in the third T20 we dropped, Haider Ali, Asif Ali got dropped as well. He wasn't in the side anyways. We brought in Safraz, Mohammad Hafiz dropped down one. So, I mean, it was almost like we thought we have to try and bolster our batting. So we chucked in Shajil Khan in there. So we end up having Mohammad Rizwan, Babar Azam, Shajil Khan, Fakhar Zaman, 4 openers really in the side. Then Mohammad Hafiz at 5, Safraz at 6. Lucky they didn't need to bat, but and then we also brought in Hassan Ali as well, who can finish, so-called finish at the bottom or at the tail end even. And he obviously bowled really well as well. And that 30-20 after getting a rest for the first two. But before we go on, I guess, touch upon the middle order, because to be honest with you, we can touch upon it, but realistically, I don't think you know, and I have no idea what we're going to do in the middle order, because Haider Ali, unfortunately, is very, very young, and he's just, unfortunately, keeps on making the same mistakes, and eventually, which is exactly what happened, he will get dropped, and that's what happened in that 30-20. I think he'll still get some games before the T20 World Cup to prove himself, but he really needs a shift in mentality more than anything else, I think, in the way that he bats. Shajil Khan as well, tried him out again, didn't really impress me. Had one match against South Africa again, didn't get any runs really. And what do you think? I mean, is he going to be in the squad for Pakistan, and should he be in a starting lineup? My thoughts are he shouldn't be. I think, look, he needs to be scoring runs consistently domestically to be in there, and he's very hit and miss even domestically. I know he's been pretty good in the PSL and domestic competitions, but it hasn't been for me so stand out that I think, you know what, you can chuck him in there and shift everyone around. What do you think?
It's an interesting one, and I'm going to be honest. In that third T20I, I think Pakistan may have missed a slight opportunity, because I've mentioned it on a previous show, haven't I, Faizan, with regards to my opinion surrounding Haider Ali's place in the Pakistan batting lineup. I see him in the top 4. I don't see him sheltered at 5 and 6. I don't see him as a finisher. I think that's a real misuse of his talent. And the fact is, you mentioned there, you've played 4 openers. How is there not a place in that top 4 to give Haider Ali a slight go? And don't get me wrong, Shardul Khan, we all know what he's capable of. He is fantastic in the PSL for the Karachi Kings. He's a very destructive, explosive batsman up the top of the order. But again, are Pakistan going to actually try him again ahead of the World Cup? That remains to be seen. Whereas with Haider Ali, you could understand it's a bit of a future investment. You're investing for the future and in his potential. So for me personally, again, I would have liked to see Haider in that top 4. Not necessarily opening the batting, for example, but even at 3 or 4, when he batted at 3 against England, didn't he? And was absolutely fantastic against us in the summer up at Old Trafford. So that's all I would say if I'm going to be, touching upon the Haider Ali situation in this series. But with regards to his place in the Pakistan starting 11, I agree. The fact is you need runs. It's as simple as that. It's a batsman's currency. And no matter how talented I think he is, I think he's got a fantastic ceiling if utilised correctly. You can't justify all of these low scores and continue to play him there. I think that could have been the wake-up call for the Pakistan selectors. Maybe he's not a 5 and a 6, but if there's a chance to play him in that top 4, utilise him in his strongest position. So that'd be my thoughts on Haider Ali. But again, what on earth do we do with regards to that middle order? Because you mentioned there about Sarfraz. Is Sarfraz going to play in the T20 World Cup? Are you going to keep Hafiz at 5? I mean, there's talk about bringing Azam Khan in. I did mention him on the last show, to be fair. Shoaib Malik, he hyped up on Twitter as well. Like, there's so many different options. Danish Aziz as well threw his hat into the ring, I suppose, slightly in this series. But you've got all these options for that 5 and 6. I mentioned Imad Wasim as well. I mean, we could keep on going and going and going. There's that many options. But the problem is, for the time being, in such a short period before the T20 World Cup, no one has really established themselves as that reliable 5 and 6. And again, heading into that T20 World Cup, I do see that as a bit of a problem for Pakistan. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it's an unresolved issue. And to be honest with you, I didn't really learn too much about Pakistan from this series, if I'm being honest with you. It was very similar patterns, as we said. Rizwan and Babar got runs, middle order issues. And yeah, Safraz, they chucked him in there. And I was just thinking, okay, but I don't really want him to keep because Rizwan's a fantastic keeper. And then Safraz is a liability in the field, if I'm being honest with you. So, yes, Rizwan can field, but I'd rather he kept, right? And Safraz hasn't set the world alight when he has had chances. Shajil Khan hasn't as well. So I don't even know if he should be in the squad. You mentioned about Shoaib Malik. He's so old. And I know that age isn't an issue for like someone like Mohammad Hafiz, but he hasn't performed consistently like Mohammad Hafiz to warrant a place, in my opinion. I know he's done well in franchises, etc. as well, but I don't know. I mean, I know his T20 record is pretty good, especially in Pakistan and subcontinent conditions. That could be why they go back to him. Uh, but then he's not a long term. He's something that he's a quick fix for the World Cup. That's what he would be. Imad Wasim, you mentioned, yeah. Azam Khan. I mean, yeah, we've got differing views on it. I think on him,
Yeah.
but he might get a go before the World Cup. I wouldn't be surprised. And Haider Ali, yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with him. I think maybe, as you said, they realised that he should be in the top four. Maybe the finishing role is too much pressure on him. In terms of the bowling, then I guess is what I want to finish up on. Osman Qadir had a mixed series. I thought the spinners, the tracks were a little bit conducive to spin, but I didn't think they were amazing. But the seamers obviously did have quite a bit on offer in terms of a little bit of seamer, a little bit nibble off the surface, and the slow balls definitely having an effect. Hassan did really well on the 30-20, but I don't want to touch upon that because he only played one match, got 4 wickets. Yes, really impressive, 4.5 economy. What I wanted to touch upon was Mohammad Hasnain. Now, he seems to be probably in direct competition with Horace Rolfe for that third seaming position. I reckon they're going to go with Hassan Ali, Shaheen Afridi. In India, we'll probably go with 3 seamers plus your Fahim Ashraf as your all-rounder. What did you think about both of them, Mohammad Hasnain and Horace Rolfe? Because I reckon it's going to be a shootout between the two. They'll both be in the squad. I wouldn't be surprised if they both play some games in the T20 World Cup. But what was your assessment of those two?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? And you know what, Faizan, I'd agree with you. I think it is a battle for that third seam position because both players, both Hasnain and Ralph, offer a similar sort of role. They're almost the enforcer. They're the X factor. I mentioned that in the last show, funnily enough, with regards to their extra bit of pace, the zip, the bounce that they extract from the surface. I'm going to be honest, in this series, as much as I absolutely love Harris Ralph, Wreck-It Ralph, one of my favourite seamers probably in international cricket right now, purely for that nickname alone and his pace. I do think Hasnain did outcompete him. But you know what? Again, if you're a Pakistan fan, no matter which one of those two goes in, you're going to have an incredibly, incredibly strong seam attack. That isn't the issue with this team because you've got 3 seamers there who offer 3 completely different things. But when combined together, they can win you matches. Look at Hassan Ali, for example, pretty much won them that single handedly, sparked an entire collapse in that third T20I. Shaheen Shah Afridi is one of the most exciting seamers on the planet right now. And again, whether you have Ralph or Hasnain, whether you have Ralph, or Hasnain, you're going to have the extra bit of pace. You're going to have the extra bit of zip, the X factor per se. So again, no matter who gets it, it's going to be very, very strong. And again, I think that's going to be a major strength for Pakistan. If we're talking about who gets in right now, off of the back of this series, you'd probably argue Hasnain has been very, very impressive in a Pakistan shirt. But if it was up to me, if I was one of the selectors, Harris Ralph. Simple as that.
It's so I'm going complete. You probably won't know, but when Horace Rolfe first came onto the scene for Pakistan, I know he had done very well in the franchises for in the PSL, Big Bash especially as well. And I remember seeing him against England. I just thought he's so raw, but he's just way too erratic, and he's quick, but he got completely destroyed coming here to England. I thought, okay, you know what, give him a series. Then against Zimbabwe, he wasn't fantastic, and I kept on watching him, and I became this Horace Rolfe hater, to be honest with you, who I just kept on saying he's not international standard. I said he's a very good domestic player, but I didn't think he was good enough internationally. So he did very well though against South Africa in the ODIs, especially. T20s was mixed, but I put my hands up and said, look, he did pretty well in the ODIs, and I could be wrong, but let's see. I think in this one again, he was still pretty impressive. I just think Hasnain did slightly better, as you said. So I think it still remains to be seen. It's one of those things you don't want to be right because you don't want to wish ill on any player, but you almost want him to not perform too well so that you can say, oh, you know what, I was right. But you don't want that to happen as well because you think that's so horrible to think about. But he seems like someone who's definitely very enthusiastic about the game as well as Horace Rolfe. So look, I mean, he's definitely got the tools. I think his consistency has been the issue that I've had with him in the past, but he's been more consistent, I think, recently. Mohammad Hasnain has come along leaps and bounds, I think. I saw him as a youngster as this really exciting prospect. Probably burst into the scene a bit too early, but in the last, I would say, 6 to 9 months, he's shown a level of maturity that I think has definitely come from playing more domestic cricket, working on his craft, and I like the natural away swing he gets. Which, to be fair, Horace Rolfe gets that as well, which is why you said they are quite similar. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think, to be honest with you, let's see. I actually think Horace Rolfe's probably slightly better at the death than Mohammad Hasnain, but Mohammad Hasnain is better first up with the new balls. So they offer, maybe that's the slight difference. So it'll be interesting to see how they go, because I don't like Hassan Ali with the new ball, which then means that you play Mohammad Hasnain because he can open up with Shaheen Afridi. I think Hassan Ali is too expensive with the new ball normally, and you can have him in the middle. But I mean, we'll see. As I said, it's a shootout, so either way, that's not the biggest issue for Pakistan. And I guess lastly, then Mohammad Hafiz. Finally, I said to you that I would have liked him to have bowled against South Africa in the last review we did, and he managed to get a few over against Zimbabwe, quite miserly for the most part. Got a couple of wickets as well. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. What was your thoughts on his return to the crease with his offies?
Hey, I like Mohammad Hafiz. Simple as that. The professor. Okay, great character, great cricketer. And you know what? It is fantastic to see him bowling again. And again, it offers an extra option to this Pakistan T20I lineup. It's massive. It's huge. The fact is, you can now have Hafiz, and I'm not saying that he's going to offer you 3, 4 overs every match. But let's say things are getting, a little bit desperate. For example, you're in need of a breakthrough, a wicket. Maybe just giving him a cheeky over or two may actually be a really good option for Pakistan to utilise. So for me personally, that put a massive smile on my face. I like Hafiz, as I said, really model professional in terms of in the past few years, I think, with regards to his cricket. But yeah, great to see him back. Love the fact that he did take a couple of wickets. And for the most part, as you said, very miserly. He was very shrewd and economic, which I quite liked. He wasn't searching for wickets necessarily. He was just keeping things tight, allowing Pakistan to kind of maintain that pressure on the Zimbabwean batting lineup. So for me, Hafiz, yeah, loved it. Absolutely loved seeing him bowling again.
Yeah, I think it's because I've grown up seeing him bowl, and I remember him being so economical, and he is so economical normally when he comes onto bowl, and he does give you that extra option. He's not the X Factor bowler. He's that guy who's going to be tidy, and that's what you need, right? You need that in T20s at times. You need that contrast. So I think he's pretty good there. To wrap up, then, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to know your answer, so we'll go through it pretty quickly. Moment of the series. What would you give to that?
That's a really tough one. I mean, we've just mentioned there Hafiz bowling. I'm going to be honest. As I said, that did put a massive smile on my face. So that might be one of the moments. For me, though, in terms of a moment which I think will live long in the memory of Zimbabwe fans, is that second T20I. I mean, it's the first win on home soil in T20I cricket since beating India in 2016. So for me, that is the moment. That is a moment which will last in the memories of Zimbabwean cricket fans for months, years, even decades to come. It was a massive victory, defending 119 runs. Absolutely outstanding. So if I was going to choose a moment, second T20I and just watching the celebrations of the Chevrons defending that low run total.
Yeah, that was incredible performance, really impressive, and yeah, I can't disagree, to be honest with you. I think that has to be the moment for sure. Yes, Pakistan won, but I think Zimbabwe will take a lot from the series, and that's mainly due to that really impressive win. And to bowl Pakistan out for under 100 was really impressive as well. Bowler of the tournament, because I think that'll probably be the easiest one for you as well.
I think we know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
Luke Jongwe, absolutely brilliant. Simple as that. I mean, you mentioned it right towards the start of the show, Faizan. He was just head and shoulders above everyone, took 4 more wickets than Hasnain, who was the second leading wicket taker. And again, just really clever. He was so impressive. I mean, I can't imagine a player coming back from that long of an absence away from international cricket, let alone just T20I cricket, but international cricket in general, coming back, hitting the ground running. Absolutely exceptional. So Luke Jongwe, 100%. My bowler of the series without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I was actually I looked down at my feet to see if I had shoes on, but I don't. So it's like I pick it up and do it as a sign, but unfortunately I don't have it. But yeah, definitely. I mean, he was really impressive, and I'm going to be honest with you. I actually haven't seen him before, so I'll have to, hold my hands up and say I'm pretty embarrassed to say I haven't seen him after just taking 9 wickets as well. I think it's the highest. It's the highest number of wickets taken in a bilateral series. 3-match bilateral series ever. I think after him or maybe it was second. I think after him it was Ravi Ashwin took 7, and someone took 11. Rashid Khan took 11 against Ireland. So he's second on that list. So not bad company to be in.
Not bad at all, no.
No, not at all. So yeah, really impressive stuff from him. And in terms of batsman of the tournament or the series even.
This, again, probably not that difficult, I'm going to be honest. And to be honest, again, I'm happy that I get to say his name because I love heaping praise on him. He's a fantastic cricketer. I've said it before, seeing the rise and evolution, progression of Mohammad Rizwan. He is my batsman of the series. Absolutely outstanding. That 91 was absolutely brilliant. Take a bow, Mohammad Rizwan. I love this new Rizwan. For those who can't tell already by the massive beaming grin on my face and enthusiasm in my voice. Okay, it's brilliant to watch. I love him when he's in this form. He's such a class act, class player, really technically astute and assured batsman. Mohammad Rizwan, 100% Faizan. No doubt in my mind at all.
Yeah, I agree. He is, he keeps on improving for sure, especially in the T20 format and Test format. ODI format, he hasn't quite figured out yet, but I'm sure he will because he's a very intelligent player. So it's just a matter of time. But yeah, that's all from me. Is there anything you want to touch on before we wrap up?
Just one final thing, I suppose. I didn't say it right at the start, but congratulations to Pakistan for winning the series. Simple as that. I mean, we did see some compelling cricket. I know not necessarily with the bats. It was quite a low-scoring series. But as a bowler, for example, I mean, I quite like some of the bowling that was on display from both sides. And that was the key thing. This was not a really one-sided series. So fair play to Pakistan for winning it. Fair play to Zimbabwe as well, putting up a real fight, taking it to a series decider. To be fair, without that Hassan Ali fourth as well, could have gone on to win it. So yeah, overall a very competitive series. Enjoyed the cricket that's on display. And yeah, bring on the T20 World Cup. I'm going to be honest, the excitement's building already on my behalf.
Yeah, it definitely is building. Can't wait for that. And hopefully, the whole situation going on in India gets cleared up because I think that's definitely going to be a huge factor. So let's see. But no, I agree. Zimbabwe were really competitive. And I think before I wrap up, actually, the last thing I want to touch upon is just to say that I really hope other nations give Zimbabwe a chance by going to Zimbabwe to play cricket and also inviting them to play as well, because I think Pakistan, to be fair to them, have been the trailblazers in the last couple of years of giving Zimbabwe a lot of cricket out of the so-called test playing, the test playing nations. Obviously, Afghanistan have as well. They've given them test matches. We're going to play 2 test matches against Zimbabwe as well. But it'll be nice to see your Indias, your Australias, your Englands, your New Zealands, even your South Africas, do it as well, and kind of on a more regular basis. England even as well. You don't normally see it too much. I haven't seen it in the last few years.
We haven't actually played them in a test match. Funnily enough, it was Jimmy Anderson's debut series, 2003. So I've never actually seen an England versus Zimbabwe test series. Last time we played them outside of World Cup as well was 2007. So yeah, 100% there, Faizan. And also, just before we do talk and wrap up today's show, you did mention about India. To all of the Indian viewers out there, people who know Indian cricket fans, I mean, we're just all thinking of you, to be honest, at the moment, because the situation in India at the moment is absolutely awful. Some of the scenes that we've seen have been absolutely heartbreaking, and my thoughts, prayers go out to all those affected in India. They really, really do. It's been absolutely horrible to see over the past few days and weeks.
Very well said. Very well said. Yeah, it's shocking to be honest with you, and I think everyone and it was very well said that. Yeah, hopefully it gets sorted and it gets better, especially in India at the moment. And yeah, it's not good to see in any country, but especially because it's such a densely populated country as well. I think it's exacerbated even more. So fingers crossed, it gets better for them, and they're able to sort it out, because we talked about the cricket and the World Cup, but really this is more on a human level, which is even more so than your cricket and sporting interest. Is making sure that people are safe and well, which is the most important thing. Thank you very much, Aaron, though, for being on. As always, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much for taking some time out of your day. I know you're a busy bee, especially this week as well. So good to catch up and talk Pakistan and Zimbabwe. And I'm sure you've got lots of things to do after this as well. So thank you very much for being on.
No problem, Faizan. As you know, always happy to come on. Love coming on to Quality Shot. And again, I will say it for all the viewers out there: like, subscribe the video, share it as well. Go for it. Go for the terrifying trio I say. But yeah, thanks for having me on again, Faizan. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
No problem. Thank you very much. And yeah, guys, make sure you do check out Aaron's County Cricket podcast as well, which I know he'll be releasing the next few days for this week. And of course, follow him on Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitter as well. I'm on there as well. So yeah, follow us both. Cool. Thank you very much, guys. Have a fantastic day or evening or morning, afternoon, wherever you are. And yeah, thank you very much.